What if I told you that the world's richest man was once a bullied kid from South Africa who taught himself computer programming and sold his first company for $300 million before he turned 30? This is the incredible story of Elon Musk, a man who went from reading encyclopedias as a lonely child to literally changing the future of humanity. By the end of this video, you'll understand how one person's relentless obsession with solving impossible problems led to revolutionizing 6 different industries. But first, make sure to subscribe because this story will show you what's possible when you refuse to accept the limits others place on you. Elon Reeve Musk was born on June 28, 1971, in Pretoria, South Africa. His childhood was far from easy. His parents divorced when he was 8, and he chose to live with his father, a decision he would later call one of the worst mistakes of his life. At school, Elon was relentlessly bullied. He was small, quiet, and preferred books to sports. The bullying got so bad that he was once hospitalized after being pushed down a flight of stairs. But instead of breaking him, these experiences taught him something crucial. If you want something different, you have to create it yourself. By age 9, Elon had read every single book in his local library. When he ran out of books, he started reading encyclopedias. His mother later said it was like having a walking Wikipedia at home. At 10 years old, he got his first computer and taught himself programming. At 12, he created and sold his first video game called Blastar for $500. At 17, Elon made a life-changing decision. He moved to Canada to avoid South Africa's mandatory military service and to eventually reach America, the land where he believed impossible things could become possible. He worked odd jobs to survive. He chopped wood, cleaned boilers, and even worked on a farm. He transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, where he studied physics and economics. But Elon had bigger plans than just getting a degree. In 1995, at age 24, Elon dropped out of Stanford after just 2 days to start his first company, Zip2, with his brother Kimball. They had no money, no office, and no connections. They lived and worked out of a tiny rented office, showering at the local YMCA. Zip2 was essentially the first online city guide, providing maps and business directories for newspapers. Elon worked 18-hour days, 7 days a week. He slept on the office floor and coded through the night. After 4 years of grinding, Compaq bought Zip2 for $307 million. Elon's share was $22 million. Most people would retire. Elon immediately started his next company. In 1999, he founded X.com, an online banking service. The vision was radical, to create the world's first fully digital bank. But the dot-com crash hit, and X.com merged with a competitor called Confinity, which had a product called PayPal. The merger was brutal. There were constant power struggles and disagreements about the company's direction. Eventually, Elon was pushed out as CEO, but he remained the largest shareholder. When eBay bought PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Elon walked away with $180 million. Now here's where most entrepreneurs would buy a yacht and disappear. Instead, Elon did something that everyone thought was insane. He decided to spend his entire fortune on 2 impossible missions, making humanity a multi-planetary species and accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. In 2002, Elon founded SpaceX with $100 million of his own money. His goal was simple but impossible: reduce the cost of space travel by 90% and eventually colonize Mars. The entire aerospace industry laughed at him. Rockets had been built the same way for 50 years, and here was some internet entrepreneur claiming he could do it better. The early years were brutal. SpaceX's first 3 rocket launches failed spectacularly. Each failure cost tens of millions of dollars. By 2008, Elon was nearly broke. He had to choose between funding SpaceX or Tesla. He couldn't afford both. The 4th launch had to work, or SpaceX would die. On September 28, 2008, Falcon 1 became the first privately built rocket to reach orbit. SpaceX was saved, and NASA awarded them a $1.6 billion contract. But SpaceX was just one of Elon's impossible bets. In 2004, he invested in a tiny electric car startup called Tesla Motors. Electric cars had failed for over a century. They were slow, ugly, and had terrible range. Everyone knew electric cars were the future, but no one could make them work. Elon had a different approach. Instead of making a cheap, practical electric car, he decided to make the best car in the world that just happened to be electric. The Tesla Roadster could go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds and had a range of over 200 miles. But making a few hundred sports cars was nothing compared to mass production. Tesla faced what Elon called production hell. They were burning through cash, struggling with manufacturing, and constantly on the verge of bankruptcy. In 2018, Tesla was producing just 5,000 Model 3 cars per week when they needed to hit 10,000 to survive. Elon literally moved into the Tesla factory, sleeping on the production floor and working around the clock to solve every bottleneck personally. The breakthrough came when they built a new production line in a giant tent outside the main factory. It sounds crazy, but it worked. Tesla hit their production targets and became profitable. Today, Tesla is worth more than the next 10 car companies combined. But Elon wasn't done. He founded Neuralink to connect human brains to computers, the Boring Company to solve traffic through underground tunnels, and later bought Twitter for $44 billion to protect free speech. Each venture tackles a different existential problem. SpaceX makes humanity multiplanetary, Tesla fights climate change, Neuralink helps paralyzed people walk again, the Boring Company solves urban transportation, and Twitter preserves open dialogue. Throughout it all, Elon has maintained the same work ethic from his early days. He still works 80 to 100 hours per week, still sleeps in his factories during critical periods, and still believes that almost any problem can be solved if you're willing to work hard enough and think from first principle. Today, Elon Musk is the wealthiest person in human history, worth over $200 billion. But his real legacy isn't his wealth. It's proving that one person with enough determination can literally change the trajectory of human civilization. SpaceX has revolutionized space travel, making rockets reusable and reducing launch costs by 90%. They've sent astronauts to the International Space Station and are actively developing the technology to colonize Mars. Tesla didn't just make electric cars cool, they forced the entire automotive industry to go electric. Every major car company now has electric vehicle plans because Tesla proved it was possible. So what can we learn from Elon Musk's incredible journey? First, start before you're ready. Elon dropped out of Stanford after 2 days because he saw the internet revolution happening and didn't want to miss it. Second, work on problems that matter. Don't just chase money, chase solutions to humanity's biggest challenges. Third, be willing to risk everything. Elon invested his entire PayPal fortune into SpaceX and Tesla when everyone said both would fail. Fourth, outwork everyone. While others are sleeping, planning, or making excuses, be building. And finally, think from first principles. Don't accept that things have to be the way they've always been. Question everything and rebuild from the ground up. If this story inspired you to think bigger about what's possible in your own life, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of people who refused to accept the impossible. Drop a comment below telling me which of Elon's companies you think will have the biggest impact on humanity's future. Remember, the future isn't something that happens to you, it's something you create. And if a bullied kid from South Africa can change the world, what's your excuse?